Our state has some incredible problems. My name is Lynn Hinderrocker. I'm here to talk about that with you and talk about the trends that have shaped this state and dragged us in one direction or another. We're not really we're not realizing the dream we had way back in the early 2000s or even around 2008 or 9 or 10. My name is Lynn Hinderrocker. Welcome to WOWBIZ, Nebraska. We're going to get it on right now. What would you do to rescue a gas station that has been up, it's going down, it's waiting for somebody to help figure out what to do? Welcome to WOWBIZ, Nebraska. I'm Lynn Hinderrocker. I'm over here with Mr. Bruce Arendt.
Hello.
Great to see you.
Good to see you. Thanks.
I want you to chat with me initially at the beginning of the show about how to help this guy who has this product that suddenly doesn't seem to be appealing or attractive to anybody, and that's a gas station in a local community, a local neighborhood area. There's no competitors close by, a lot of traffic. It's been working there or sitting there making a lot of money for an operator. It's in the Sinclair brand. They resell Sinclair gas.
Okay.
And it's been there 25, 30 years, got a mechanic, kind of just like the old school independent gas station.
Right.
And we know that that's tough to compete against chains and convenience stores. We already know that.
Right.
But this guy, the initial owner, decided to sell and retire and all that. So he sold it to another guy who owns apparently 9 other gas stations. I don't know if they're the convenience store format or whatever.
Okay.
I'm not quite sure.
Okay.
But, and I got to tell you, I've never met the man. I don't know who he is. But my heart is tugging for this man.
Yeah. That'd be a tough situation to be in.
There's nobody there.
Yeah.
There is one very nice service person there, a customer service lady. And I went in and chatted with her and said hi and got a little gas. I pumped it myself. And she was like, great to see you. Thanks for coming, We're just getting started here, The lobby is terrible. It's got very little merchandise at all.
Right.
It's poorly set up. It's a skeleton of what it was, and it wasn't great before from a merchandising point of view. And I have to tell you, deep down inside, I personally wish I had this. I would love to completely reconceive the gas station experience.
Would it take a lot of capital to rebuild, like let's say the lobby or whatever you want to call it?
I think you'd want to put some real money into the interior. That's, first of all, I'd make it kind of luxe. Because really what it should be a boutique. A gas station boutique.
Get out of my head.
Huh?
Because I was thinking the same thing. He needs to market himself as a boutique. I think what I would do, if it was me, I would, mid-century modern is so popular now. I think I'd go with that type of an approach and try to make it look like something from when you and I were kids.
Yeah.
If you could.
Sure.
And even have the little hose that when you drive over, it goes ding, ding. Even if you don't, even if you don't come out to
it's all about
change
the experience.
Or check the oil.
Yeah.
But it's about that feel, that look. I don't know if that would work or not, but I think I don't know what his connections are with even like, I know he has a mechanic, but even if you had a connection with auto parts stores to somehow market yourself.
Resell their stuff.
Resell their stuff. Or
develop
just
a partnership with people. I mean, I would go even one step further. I'd have people dressed up in tuxedos standing out near the sidewalk area and say, if you fill up the tank, I'll fill it for you.
I wouldn't do tuxedos. I would do the old school 1950s and 60s.
Well, you could do that too.
Gas
starchy,
station
kind
guy.
of maybe nice and clean.
With the hat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Something
that's different.
God, I mean, there are people that wish it were like that before, especially women, by the way.
Well,
they like service.
And young people didn't experience that in their lives, but they've seen that in pictures, and I think it would be a novelty.
It'd be a novelty, and God knows they need something to set themselves apart and differentiate. They don't have a mechanic there either, see, now.
Oh, they don't now?
No.
Okay.
Well, I don't think so, unless he's sitting by himself back in the dark, because there's nothing going on.
Like a Maytag man.
Right, but if he were a repairman, I'd have him out there fixing cars for free for the first couple months. Just anything.
Right.
And boy, I tell you what, there are so many things that could be done, and the fact that and I think it's a man, I don't know that for sure, I guess, but that he's just ignoring it and sitting there and just waiting for something to happen.
He may not be ignoring it. He may be just perplexed. I don't know. I mean, who knows? He might be.
If you're the man that owns that gas station on Center Street in Omaha, Nebraska, give us a call. We are dying for you. That's all I can tell you, man. I don't want you to go under. On the other hand, maybe we should just let him die. He'd have to sell it sooner or later, right? The poor woman that runs it, there's the open, closed signs, that they have, the fluorescent signs.
Yeah.
she forgets to plug it in every day.
Oh.
So
Yeah.
so it's, you don't even think it's open, right? It isn't even, the open sign isn't even on.
There's that.
And then you walk, there is that. You walk in and you say, there is the sign, you are open, like, oh my gosh, she says.
But they need to have something ridiculous outside to draw people in,
Yes.
in terms of signage or
Well,
something.
some kind of outrageous thing.
Maybe you could dress up like a clown or something.
Name it.
I'm just,
Whatever it takes, I'm telling you what.
I mean, something seriously to be waving people in. If you've got traffic on the
because
street.
you know
which
that
would.
people that normally have been going there for years,
Sure.
right? They know they'd like to go there again.
Yeah.
And but if you're out there acting up and doing something,
Yeah.
then they say, well, they're open. They save me some time. I don't have to go down the street.
Right.
At the very least, you'll get the convenience customer, and then you can build from there. And you could drop a little direct mail in the neighborhood. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
Oh my. Well, that's an interesting.
That'll be another business
Yeah.
partnership you and I should be tagged into.
I'm going to start going there for gas.
Do
I will.
it.
Seriously.
I hear you guys are hurting, and I'm here. Okay. All right, so bring over the bowl here. Here's what we're going to do. We got a fantastic little exercise here, a little interactive exercise. Now, we got probably 30, 40, 50 quotes in there. Okay. They're all rumpled up in a piece of paper. You're going to be the reader. You can write and you can read, right? And but I'm going to create a scenario. I want you to pull them both up.
Okay.
Quickly look at them, scan the two of them.
Okay.
And then you read aloud the one that you would read to deal with the situation that I'm going to now put on your plate.
Okay. Should I wait for the situation? On
Kind
my
of,
plate?
yeah, I'm going to give you the
Okay.
situation right now.
Okay.
This first one would be a young, dispirited salesperson who wanted to go to work for somebody, and they haven't done very well, and so they're just really down on their luck, and they need a little advice or inspiration or whatever.
Okay.
So why don't you take a look at those two right there real quick?
Should I read them both out loud?
I think you probably should, yeah, because the audience is going to be sitting there looking at their watch saying, well, while he's reading, I'm going to go get a glass of water.
Go make a sandwich.
That's no good. Stay there. Go ahead.
Most executives have an educational incapacity. They know about their particular function, but they don't see the world in a broader perspective. That's not wrong, that's human.
Yeah, well, that's a very interesting insight. I couldn't
Okay.
agree with you more.
Okay.
I've said that occasionally to my clients, and that didn't always go well. But anyway, let's go on to the second one.
In times when the game rules keep changing and industries come and go, the ability to be nimble and to define your value proposition rather than sell the same stuff over and over again is critical.
Well,
That's the one right
that's
there.
the one.
That's
All right,
the
so let's elaborate on that for 2 seconds. I mean, let's say, for instance, the guy's right here. He says, that sounds relevant to what I'm having a hard time out there. What are we telling him? What do we say? Well, maybe you're doing things the old way or the way your boss told you, but maybe you need to do things differently. Thinking about that?
Well, to be nimble and to define your value proposition, what does that actually mean?
Yeah, well,
Rather than sell the same stuff over and over again, and that's
Yeah.
critical. I guess I'm seeing, to define your value proposition, that would mean you're redefining yourself or the value you're bringing to the customer.
right. Oh, yeah.
And rather than selling the same stuff over and over, you've got to find a different angle, a different facet.
A different angle, a different dimension of the product, a different facet to emphasize.
Right. Maybe a different service that you can offer.
Absolutely.
I don't know.
Absolutely. No,
That's-
I think that is so true. And by the way, I'll give you an example right now. One thing that I've been doing lately, I think you know, is that I've been doing some infomercials for small businesses.
Right.
And for a very modest fee, they hire me, and I do a pretty straightforward pitch,
Mm-hmm.
but I try to make it interesting and exciting and so on. And then they have it on YouTube,
Right.
And then for instance, the administrative assistant or the salesperson, they can send it out to people, right, via email or
Right.
whatever. And then when that stuff shows up, you can kind of know when they've opened it, right, in a couple different ways. And then you can call them on the phone and say, hey, I was curious if you had a chance to take a look at the email.
Yeah, what'd you think?
What'd you think? Now that would add a little, that's a little tweak in the process.
Right.
Because nobody else is doing that, see? And
You're not selling it the same way over and over.
Right.
This speaks also to our gas station man. He needs to find a way to redefine himself.
Redefine and maybe, well, I mean, what would be the value proposition, right? Probably have to be service.
It's got to be a service. though.
Yeah, deep
You know,
service and personalized service.
The boutique approach. where
There's
you're
a
really-
gas
yeah.
station chain or convenience store chain here in town. They have got such a great. Whenever I walk in, Now, they got a lot of customers. I mean, just many men. They're standing in line. But when I come in, they've been trained to say, oh, hey, good to see you again. That's what they tell me. And then I go, hey, nice to see you, and I pay them. Da, da, da. And then before I leave, every single time they say, see you next time.
Yeah, that's training. And
that's training, man.
And it's effective even if it's to everyone. Everyone feels a little bit more special.
You know darn well that they've been taught to do this with everybody.
Sure.
But still you say in your heart, I'm special. They
Right.
remember me.
Right.
Let's do this again here.
There might be a picture of you up somewhere.
There might be.
Behind
I
the
mean,
counter where,
take a look.
beware of this man. Yeah. Okay, 2 of these. Okay.
All right.
I never know what I'm going to do when I
No, I love this.
When I get on the set.
The sense of spontaneity is just so great.
The most effective way to cope with change is to help create it.
To help create it?
Yeah.
Oh, that's profound.
The most effective way to cope with change.
I didn't
is
even
to
give you
help
the
create
situation, but now I'm going to give you one.
Okay.
All right. Business owner who's in an industry that's gone through rapid change.
Really? That's
Well, that would be great. Then
Yeah.
you read that to them and they go, I guess I should, instead of reacting to change, maybe I should be the one, I'll create the
to
change.
help change it. Then
That's
you're
right.
more in control. You're
That's
not a
right.
victim of the change.
That's exactly right. But what does the second one say? Could be better.
The present moment finds our society attempting to negotiate the most difficult, but at the same time, the most exciting transition the human race has faced to date.
Oh, I love this. I love this.
It is not,
Throw the whole thing out. I want to talk about that.
It is not merely a transition to a new level of existence, but the start of a new movement in the symphony of human history.
Woo-hoo-hoo. Now, if there were 100 business people in this room, and there may be any minute now rushing in,
Sure.
who knows? But anyway, if they were, what percentage of them would feel a chill go up and down their spines after they heard you read that?
It depends on where they're sitting in relation to the air conditioning. Maybe
So true. But really, I mean, that is a, why don't you read it one more time? Because this is like a bookmark in life, this realization.
The present moment finds our society attempting to negotiate the most difficult, but at the same time, the most exciting transition in the human race has faced to date. It is not merely a transition to a new level of existence, but the start of a new movement in the symphony of human history. That's so heavy I can't quite process it.
It's
What did I just read?
Well, I think the point is change, right? I think the point is change, and it looks precarious, it looks bad, but really it is an opportunity and it's a positive thing.
Right. And I think that boils it down.
I think it does.
It could be overwhelming at the onset. But
Absolutely.
But
and you know what? I'm going to share one thing that's even bigger than that, even more profound and broader in nature than that.
I'll be curious to know.
This is and it's shorter too. Shorter.
Oh, okay. Right.
Always remember, the cosmos is benevolent. In the end, it's all it is more inclined to help you, before you, support you, open doors for you, help things happen for you than it is to work against
the cosmos, you. If I ever get a tattoo, that's going to be
All right. Well, at that point, we're going to end up the first half of the show right here in WOWBIZ, Nebraska. Bruce Arendt, always profound. Thank you so much for joining me so far.
Thank you.
We're going to talk to you a little bit about the sponsor of the show. It's called Growth Dynamics Consulting here in the Omaha, Nebraska area. We do a lot of work for a lot of different industries. In fact, over 40 industries since 1991. That's a lot of industries to work in. And I would say at least 4 or 5 of them truly transformative, where we literally turned the companies around and powered them forward in a positive way, and they actually really had a major breakthrough in their particular. The others we did some good work with, but that was incremental improvement as opposed to exponential improvement. But here we are at the end of the pandemic, at the end of the COVID crisis, as it's dwindling down. We are at a pivot point. And frankly, the economy is like this close to exploding. This is an incredible moment. But I'm hesitant to say this, Bruce Arendt, because there will be a lot of lazy business owners that will say, well, I'll just let it happen and all boats will raise up and we'll be fine for a while, right? And I promise you, people will be inclined to do that.
Sure.
And they're a little bit low on cash flow anyway because of a rough year preceding this. But nevertheless, this is an opportunity. If you've ever thought about repositioning yourself, rebranding, rethinking your identity, what your company stands for, bringing in certain types of people, reconfiguring, for instance, your distribution system. A lot of people are poo-poo about events. You know, they just sit there at a card table and nothing happens and they go, I'm never coming back here again. Events are fantastic if you understand what you're doing.
If you've got a plan.
If you've got a plan and if you can come at it uniquely.
Yeah.
Now, speaking of events, right? Growth Dynamics helps companies exploit, optimize, prepare for, make an event, and frankly, just a plain old exhibit really pop. I'm going to tell you how we get it done.
Okay.
Are you ready for this? You better brace, hold on, because when you hear this, and everybody out there is going to say, Growth Dynamics can do that, I'm going to give them a call. So anyway, this is called experiential branding. Now, I'm sure you've heard that phrase before.
I have heard the phrase.
Yeah, branding, everybody knows what that is, of course. But experiential branding is focusing on the experience, well, how it basically feels, to work around you and your company.
Okay.
How it feels to use your product. And you know, the sales department, obviously, and customer service, very important, how it feels to work with them. And whether or not you yourself can play some role in the creation of the product. This is the exciting thing, where it's really co-creation. You have a certain capability in your company, but you say to the customer, come on over here, step over here and get involved with me, right? And we'll create this product together with your input, and when it's done, it'll be your product, and it will represent your values or your style, whatever.
So we're creating change just like one of those
Yeah.
in here, right?
So I'm going to give you a quick example. A couple, 2-3 years ago, I was working with a transportation company called Van Gogh in Lincoln at their kind of Chamber of Commerce trade show.
Right.
And we wanted it to really pop. This was kind of an introduction of a new concept in vans and van transportation. And so we're sitting around preparing. We didn't have any idea. We just had a small booth, 10 by 10 basic booth, right? Yeah. And I asked the client, you know, and she asked me, I guess it was, what do we really do? You know, what is the real thing that we do? And I said, well, what we really do is we provide timely and well-coordinated movement. That's what you do with a van. You pick up people at the airport, and get them here and get them there. Right. So it's timely and it's got to be well-coordinated. She says, yeah, that's cool, really. I said, what if we could find a way to symbolize timely and well-coordinated movement? We can't put the van in there, you know. Right. How would we do that? She said, I don't have any idea at all. I said, you know, one interesting thing that could be maybe used, we get a bunch of Tai Chi practitioners, right, or yoga practitioners, and we get them in the area, and they're all coordinated, and they're doing these cool moves, right, and the yoga moves, and you know, like this, right, and they're all together, right, and it's timely, and it's movement, right, and it's perfectly and uniformly coordinated.
Is this in the booth?
In the booth.
In the booth.
In the booth.
So this is choreographed kind of.
Yes.
Perfectly.
Perfect. And they're there. She loved it. So sure enough, man, it takes a lot of effort. You got to call around, find people. How much do I pay you? Blah, 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 blah. Right. Get them to Lincoln, get them there. But man, did they love it. Once they got there and realized that they had this audience, all these business, and these business people are wandering around, they're bored. They're bored. There's nobody doing nothing, sitting at their card table saying, want a brochure? No? Okay. But you get to this booth, and these people are like, right? Beautiful. I mean, they really are great. And then I stood off to the side and I kind of narrated. And I said, you are witnessing timely and well-coordinated movement. That's exactly what Van Gogh provides.
Wow.
If you call, you know, da-da-da-da-da, and they will get you there in a timely fashion. It's well-coordinated, no problems. And the people now are, and then Van Gogh, I don't know if you know this, but one of his things was with apples. Van Gogh, the painter, great painter, painted apples. He loved apples. So we had a bowl of ripe apples right there, right? And all of the you know, the practitioners doing this, making these moves, man. Like there were 5 of them in this little booth. Right. And we all had an apple in one hand, right? And then, so it ended up, the whole thing was, and the apple was right out towards the people that were standing there at the booth, you know? Wow. And they burst into a spontaneous applause. Wow. Right? So experiential branding.
Makes me want to be there.
That makes you want to be there, recreate the movement. So that's experiential branding. That's what brings people around. They go, wow, that's a really great, let's talk to them about a little bit of a help, you know? It's a wonderful thing to be able to do that.
Yeah. And he's one of my favorite artists, by the way.
Oh, Incredible.
Incredible guy.
Have you ever debated, by the way, about how he died and how that happened? Out in the field, he tried to commit suicide, but he didn't get it done.
Oh, really?
He couldn't quite finish it or something, I don't know, and then his brother came along. Very tough. Anyway, we're right here on WOWBIZ, Nebraska,
On that
discussing
happy
Van
note.
Gogh's suicide and experiential branding. I mean, how much better do you get than that? But thank you so much for watching WOWBIZ, Nebraska. Give us a call and go to WOWBIZ, not WOWBIZ, don't go there. Go to growthdynamics.org. Thank you, Bruce. You're invaluable. You really are. I'm sitting there thinking of poor Van Gogh
Oh,
sitting
that's
in the
horrible.
dirt.
That's
It's a
terrible.
terrible thing.
Yeah, I'm going to have a tough time tonight thinking about that.
Come back. All right. So here we are at WOWBIZ, Nebraska with Bruce Arendt, and I'm Lynn Hinderrocker, and we're going to talk right now because of what I mentioned before. The economy's changing rapidly, some interesting opportunities presenting themselves.
Right.
So we're going to talk about change, how to change, what that really means, because everybody's going to say, boss, are we going to do some changing? And the boss is like, I don't know, you know.
Easier said than done, right?
Easier said than done.
Yeah.
So we have a little chart here.
Okay.
Right? We're going to move this
Am I done
away.
with my bowl?
And there's two ways to change, Bruce.
Okay.
One is adaptation. We just try to read what's going on in the marketplace and try to make tweak a procedure. Maybe we won't have that salesman call in that territory, but the salesman here because he's more digitally astute. I mean, different ways to.
Probably the most typical type of change, right?
Yeah, no
Would
kidding.
you think? I mean,
Yeah,
there's nothing wrong with it necessarily.
No, that's right. So adapting is one thing.
Right.
And we're going to learn about some examples of how to adapt. But the really fearless business owners are going to want to say, let's start a revolution now, right? Because the competition, they're sitting on their hands. They don't know what to do.
Right.
They don't know if when people say the consumer has changed, the consumer is thinking differently, they hear them, but they can't really imagine how they've changed,
Yeah.
They think they're always the same, motive-wise, and so on. So we're going to take a look here. For instance, we'll just use this little chart right here, and we'll talk about the adaptive company as opposed to the revolutionary.
Okay.
And what they do differently, and we'll see if anything hits you, some way that you resonate with
Okay.
that. Because this thing over here got me so wound up with this crumpled paper.
You are kind of wound up.
A little bit. Well, I forgot my own company. That was the ultimate thing right there. All right, so here we are. So to adapt, somebody would think about how to respond to external change, right? But a revolutionary would say, let us create change and lead change. All right, there is a difference. Reaction, response, you kind of wait for something to happen and then move. Where a revolutionary doesn't wait for anything to happen.
The thing I like
charge
about
ahead.
that revolutionary approach is that you're in more control.
Yeah.
You aren't reacting. You are actually.
You're making them react to you.
Yeah, you're being proactive.
Yeah. And they're going to have to respond to you.
Which can be scary. There's a lot of things you've got to think through, but it actually puts you in the driver's seat.
Yeah, that's what I love that idea. All right, going down there, a little list right here. Companies that adapt, anticipate change. Well, that's pretty good. Mm-hmm. And they listen. They listen to what's happening, what people are talking about, and so on.
Right.
Which makes good sense. But the revolutionary, basically, and this is kind of simplistic, they basically feel like they're going to revolutionize the entire industry. That's their mindset. Mm-hmm. So instead of listening to people saying, did you hear this and you hear about that? Their attitude is, here's the industry, we don't stop until we change it.
Right. Here's something new and we are the lead.
Right, they can listen to us.
Right.
Right? All right, going on. Adaptive companies search for emerging opportunities.
Okay.
That's very interesting and very true. But revolutionary companies introduce revolutionary products and services. All right? So we never even heard of something like that.
Right.
Right?
Tai Chi in a booth. You've never heard of that
Tai
before.
Chi in a booth would be a great example, very revolutionary. Okay, going on down, create an adaptive organization.
Okay.
So you're pulling people around and saying, let's remember now we're going to watch the marketplace and we're going to respond to it and make some changes. It's a good cultural thing.
Right.
But over on the revolutionary side, they're going to create new business models. Now that's exciting.
See, the thing is, and maybe I'm repeating myself, but on adapting, you're sort of blending in with everybody else who's out there. This other side, you're standing out.
You're standing out. And you know what you can do is you can keep your core operations going. You're not going to lose the profits you already are doing.
And you don't want to stop listening.
No.
That kind of thing.
All right, and then finally, we're going to wrap up here. Preserve core competencies and continuities. In other words, you're going to say, what do we do really, really well? Let's not throw those out now. Let's figure out a way to leverage those core competencies.
Right.
And that's a very reasonable thing. I've
Sure.
led those kinds of discussions before. But the revolutionary says, let's create new capabilities and new core competencies.
Yeah.
All right. Digital ones would be a great example. Let's learn how to send out personalized emails to 7,000 prospects and have it change every week and then be able to read the responses. That takes some time and energy to cultivate that competency. And this first group probably wouldn't do that. They wouldn't go that far.
Right.
So there is a real difference between an adaptive organization that changes and a revolutionary organization.
And maybe being a hybrid between the two.
So that's entirely possible as well. Speaking of change, let's wrap up our show here in WOWBIZ, Nebraska with Bruce Arendt and Lynn Hinderrocker. We're going to wrap up and we're going to show you this quick image. Got an image right here. It's kind of cool. It's 3 chairs, lawn chairs, in the backyard back there with some bushes and weeds, etc. But it's kind of pretty, kind of attractive.
Yeah.
And so the 3 chairs are there. Now, why would we have 3 chairs? And we call them chairs of change. What would be the whole deal with that? How would you use that setup to manifest change?
I was going to ask you the same thing. 3 chairs of change.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I
See, I
don't
think. Well, I'm going to suggest there's always 2 points of view on anything, right?
Right. At
We
least.
should change a lot or dramatically. The other one's like, well, let's just wait and see what people do. That'd be an example. Those would be 2 chairs,
Right.
So you have a third person there that is like, kind of helps move the dialogue forward when it becomes conflictive or kind of stops.
Kind of a moderator.
Kind of a moderator, keeps it moving forward
Okay.
and couches everything in positive context. Good idea, huh?
That is a good idea.
Absolutely. I think we should have chairs of change. Maybe we should bring a third person right here and say, why don't you see if we can change Bruce and Lynn? We're always obviously in conflict, and see if we can't see if we can't mediate this.
Right.
All right, here we are in WOWBIZ, Nebraska. Thank you so much for watching our crazy show tonight. We had a ball, and we chatted about a lot of things that are pertinent at this particular and pivotal point in time. I hope you're doing well in business today. Think about the things we've shared with you. See you next time right here on WOWBIZ, Nebraska.